and you, the viewer, have been helping to track down these animals. You've been leaving postings on our Facebook page, and we've passed it on to the police department. When the couple first moved in, they were literally under siege. Drug addicts were showing up at all hours of the night. That's the largest block ever. But depending on how well they do tonight, that may still not be enough. Live at FGCU, Warren Wright, Fox 4 in your corner. Thanks for choosing Fox 4 in your corner. I'm Warren Wright. We begin with a story out of Cape Coral, an attempted murder-suicide. The story first broke around 8:30 last night. A quiet neighborhood quickly turned into an intense standoff involving Cape Coral police and a SWAT team. Authorities were responding to a home on the 600 block of Southeast 7th Street. For In Your Corner's Chris Day was on scene as it all unfolded and joins us live in the studio with details. Chris. All right, thank you, Chris. Meanwhile, shots went flying early this morning at a gas station in Fort Myers. This incident happening at the Pilot Travel Plaza on the 6000 block of Plaza Drive in Fort Myers. Now, Sarah tells us there was a female passenger inside the car at the time of the shooting. She was not injured and was taken in for questioning. No deputies were injured. Meanwhile, the search is still on for the gunman who robbed this exact Travel Plaza back in late January. Lee County deputies say afterward he took off in a silver four-door sedan. The gunman is described as possibly in his 20s and about 6 feet tall. If you recognize the suspect or know anything about this robbery, call the Lee County Sheriff's Office at 239-477-1000 or call Crime Stoppers at 1-800-780-TIPS. New at 10, a Fort Myers man is dead after losing control of his motorcycle earlier this morning. Lee County deputies say the crash happened around 1:30 in the 18,000 block of Holly Road. Deputies say 47-year-old Gary Miller was heading north on Holly Road when he lost control on a curve. He then drove onto a grassy shoulder before running into a parked vehicle. Miller was later rushed to the hospital where he died from his injuries. No one else was injured. Tonight, a star football recruit from Dunbar is behind bars in Lee County. Deputies arresting 18-year-old Marquise Bryant this morning. He's now charged with carrying a concealed firearm, assault on an officer, and resisting arrest. Bryant was also arrested in December on charges of carrying a concealed firearm, resisting an officer, and loitering. He's currently a junior running back at Dunbar High School, rushing for more than 1,000 yards and 14 touchdowns last season. According to recruiting services, Bryant was verbally committed to the University of South Florida. A 100-acre brush fire that ignited in the Corkscrew Sanctuary area yesterday has been put out. Estero Fire Rescue officials say the blaze started around 2 in the afternoon. No injuries or structural damage to report, but officials say this was a controlled fire that quickly got out of hand. Florida Forest Services, along with 3 other crews, all helped extinguish the blaze. Florida Fish and Wildlife officials finding the remains of a 3-year-old male Florida panther yesterday on State Road 80 near the Lee-Hendry County line. They say the animal died after being hit by a vehicle at some point. Tonight, the panther is being stored at the FWC office in Naples and will eventually be transported to a research lab in Gainesville for a complete necropsy. Back in 2002, the Supreme Court barred the execution of mentally disabled inmates. But until now, the court has left it up to the states to determine who is mentally disabled. A new case is testing whether states can rely solely on an intelligence test to rule a death row inmate isn't mentally disabled and therefore eligible for execution. In arguments tomorrow, a Florida inmate is challenging the use of an IQ cutoff to determine mental disability. Florida is among the few states that use a score of 70 to conclude an inmate is not mentally disabled, even if other evidence indicates otherwise. We want to hear your thoughts about this. Should an IQ test alone decide whether or not an inmate should be executed? Voice your views when you call us at 239-206-FOX4 or email news@fox4now.com. Florida's gun-friendly nature will be scrutinized again as the 2014 legislative session opens this week. Firearms will be in the forefront after a year that included the George Zimmerman trial, the Marissa Alexander warning shot ruling, the loud music killing, and the texting in the movies killing. The session is also expected to hear legislation that would require local law enforcement to provide guidelines for neighborhood watches. One bill aims to prevent insurance companies from discriminating against gun owners, and another aims to keep schools from punishing children pretending to play with guns. Still ahead, disgusting discovery.
How did you feel looking at all that?
Gross.
All right, thank you, Liza. Well, a Southwest Florida woman taking some big steps today. Surrounded by friends and family, she walked the half marathon sponsored by Hooters. This just months after she was diagnosed with incurable cancer. 4 in Your Corner, Sarah Belsol is there at the starting line and has her inspiring story. Job seekers looking for employment getting an email smackdown from a Cleveland woman who runs an online job bank. Now that job bank manager is apologizing for the rant. New at 10, Mark Zini reports. All right, well, defying direct orders, Russia approving a Ukraine invasion despite a serious warning from our president. The consequences the federal government is considering and what it means for all of us moving forward. But first, supermarket surprise, the sickening discovery a Southwest Florida woman says she found in her food from Walmart. That had her calling Fox 4 for help. Next. A Lehigh Acres woman turning to 4 in Your Corner for help after she says she found something disgusting in what she bought at a local Walmart. And she wants to know how it happened. 4 in Your Corner's Gabrielle Saran working to get her answers. Well, Walmart says its food safety team has been in touch with the Great Value supplier to try to get to the bottom of what happened here. They say they take these concerns very seriously, and they have also reached out to the customer. A Naples man was arrested on DUI charges early this morning after crashing into a Collier County deputy squad car. A rapidly escalating crisis that has the world watching tonight. Russia has apparently moved troops into the Ukraine, despite President Obama's stern warning against it. And now the West is outraged. Tonight, April Williams has the developing details. California police catching a man accused of stealing a jar of money from 2 Girl Scouts. Police chasing down the suspect, and it was all caught on tape. New at 10, Steve Price has the dramatic video. Well, a dog stranded on a Houston highway didn't stand a chance. That is until a stranger showed up and saved his life. All right, well, it's getting hot in here. Hot pink, that is.
Thank
Looking
you
great.
very much. You know I'm a fan of your hair, too. So it's just been a complimentary evening all the way around.
You bet.
And the weather, too, improving after a cold front. And
good sleeping weather.
Definitely.
You don't have to have the AC on. You can have the windows open. It's nice.
Definitely. Nice to have that fresh air inside.
It is. All right, thanks for joining us tonight. We'll see you tomorrow.
Why would a multi-billion-dollar industry that does business around the world want to affect a city election in Fort Myers? That's what 4 in Your Corner investigator Warren Wright has been trying to find out tonight. Warren?
Well, Emily, I started digging after voters got this flyer in the mail. It tells them to request absentee ballots and warns, quote, Obama operatives are trying to take over City Hall. So who exactly is making this claim? Today, I find out. This flyer was sent out by a group called Floridians for Conservative Values. I called them on Monday, but never got a response. So I dug into election records and found it's a group that's getting money from an industry with deep pockets, Big Sugar. Records show Florida Crystals gave the group $100,000. So I called the company and got a recording. Hi, this is Warren Wright with Fox 4 News. And I'm calling in regards to the $100,000 contribution that your company made. A couple hours later, I got a phone call, not from Florida Crystals, but from the group it gave the money to, Floridians for Conservative Values. Spokesman Randy Nielsen out of West Palm Beach wouldn't agree to a recorded interview and would only say his organization spent $6,000 on the flyer. But why?
These folks that are putting the flyers out absolutely enjoy the status quo because it's manageable.
The status quo means millions of tax breaks and subsidies for the sugar industry, which enjoys protection from tougher pollution standards. Political science professor Laura Weir says new faces in office could put all that in jeopardy.
And so when somebody comes in and says, well, I have some new ideas that will change the status quo, then that's going to shake things up.
The group behind this flyer acknowledges that. Their spokesperson told me when Councilmember Levon Sims unexpectedly lost his re-election recently, it, quote, showed up on their radar.
Is it worth spending the money on and the time on this mayoral race to make sure it stays comfortably predictable? Yes, it is. It's making people nervous.
Okay, so even though they claim they don't endorse specific candidates, the group says it will spend even more money on the mayor's race, so you can look forward to that. And they say Florida Crystals, which has provided a third of its funding over the past 2 years, does not dictate how that money is spent. Warren Wright, Fox 4, in your corner.
All right.
But these chickens, they terrify the dog and even our cat.
Roosters gone wild. Nearly a dozen birds ruling the roost in the neighborhood around Van Buren and Washington in East Fort Myers. Neighbors say this gang of angry birds is led by an extremely territorial rooster. So they're turning to Four in Your Corner's Warren Wright for help in getting these birds to fly the coop. Warren?
Well, the neighborhood is crying foul. They can't figure out who, if anyone, actually owns the birds. All they know is they've reached out to Lee County Animal Control and Fort Myers Code Enforcement for help. But their answers have left residents with nothing but ruffled feathers. It's nonstop crowing, and it's much worse just before dawn.
They're really loud. My baby ends up crying because I live right there and they stand right at the gate.
Being loud is only just the beginning of the problems for the people living here.
And they come over and they harass my kitties.
Neighbor Vicki Neese says her yard is a war zone.
Oh, they'll come after my animals, they'll come after me.
Are you scared?
At times.
And this is the bird no one wants to mess with.
The big rooster is a big Rhode Island red.
And what's he do to your animals?
He just goes charging.
And as far as Big Red is concerned, everyone is on his hit list.
The roosters, if they're protecting someone, they're going to take and go after you. So he's protecting his chickens.
But they're in your yard.
Yeah, but he thinks that he owns everything.
The people who live here say neither the city nor the county can help them. A number of people that live in the city of Fort Myers say they've called animal control and they've been told that you all can't do anything about it because Fort Myers is a bird sanctuary. Is that the reason why? Well, not exactly. True, the city is listed as a bird sanctuary, but animal control only handles dogs, cats, and ferrets. And as far as the city is concerned, it only has jurisdiction over confined animals, and right now, it's illegal to have a chicken coop within the city. And no one is claiming ownership. So for now, it's just the law of the jungle.
It is crazy. Where the roosters and the chickens have taken over the neighborhood. They terrorize everybody on the street.
Okay, well, I spoke with city officials and they explained they don't have the resources to go chasing chickens, but people are free to hire animal contractors to clean up the neighborhood. Warren Wright, Fox 4, in your corner.